Okay. There we go.
Rowan?
Yep, there's Rowan.
Hello.
There he
Hello.
is.
Hey, how are
Here
you?
we go.
Hi.
I'm doing well. How are you all?
I'm doing well.
Hello.
Doing pretty
Doing
good.
fine.
How's finals going for everyone?
Halfway
I have
done.
one more left. Yeah, halfway done.
Good. Oh, you guys are all way further than me. I've only had one final.
I've only done one
I
as
have
well.
2 finals next week on Monday.
Oh,
Uh,
more. Ew.
Yeah.
No.
And then I've got a final paper due Friday.
Ooh.
And then, yeah.
Why a paper? Of all things.
Sorry, it's actually not too bad. So.
Okay.
I've got one every day for the rest of the week.
oh.
What?
Yeah, because all but one of my classes had a final exam, and so they've got like a range of times that you can take them. So I just spaced it out, one per day. So
Oh, okay. That's actually
Okay.
yeah. I think that's actually better than having to do multiple finals in one day, because at least you can like kind of
yeah, I
is
can like
each
study
class.
for one.
That's true.
Do it that
Yeah,
day.
exactly. All
That's smart.
We will go ahead and get started. Before we get started, does anyone have anything they want to work on in particular? Either anything you maybe missed, or you felt like you didn't get enough time on, or even just something you enjoyed that you want to do?
I want to do the thing, the rock back.
Oh, the reverse one counterattack? Yeah, sure, we
Yeah,
can do
yeah.
that. We can do that.
Hey!
Anything wrong? I mean, it's fine if you don't have anything in particular. No, all right, cool. I also figured, since it's the last day, I would do just some of the things I really enjoy as well. Because normally I try to teach in terms of like relevance, like things you'll actually use a lot and stuff. But I figure for today, maybe I'll just do some things that I think are fun,
Huh?
as well. All right.
So we're learning backflips.
Are
I would
we?
love to do
Oh.
backflips, but I think without an opponent to do them on, it would be a little bit challenging.
Possibly.
Out of my ceiling. So, all right. Start with our quad stretch, and we'll all rotate counting. So I'll start 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and switch.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10.
And behind your gun.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10.
Switch. 1,
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10.
I swear, Wilbert, I didn't just try to skip you.
It's okay. It's okay to admit you forgot about my existence.
3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and switch.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10.
And lunging, dominant leg 4.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10.
Non-dominant leg.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10.
And rock back into your reverse lunge. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And switch sides.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10.
And take a seat on the ground. One leg out, other leg in, and touch your toes.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10.
And switch.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10.
Hold on. Touching both times. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And pull them in for a butterfly.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10.
And go ahead and stand back up. And ankle, just a 5.
1, 2,
1,
3, 4, 5.
Switch.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Arm circles. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Which direction?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
And wrists.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Switch.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
And head circles. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Switch directions.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
All right. Just a quick warm up. Go ahead and make your on guards. And extend. On guard. Extend. Lunge. Nice. Recover on guard. Advance. Advance. Retreat. Retreat. Advance lunge.
That arm didn't come out.
Recover on guard. So arms didn't come out first. And take a couple retreats if you need it. And try that one again. Advance lunge.
Okay.
There we go. Nice. Recover on guard. Balestra lunge. Good. Recover on guard. And 2 retreats. Lunge. Forward recovery. Lunge. Good. Recover back. 2 retreats and on guard. Duck 1. Duck 2. Duck 2. Crossover forwards. Crossover back. Flesh.
Oh.
All right, good. We won't spend too much on that. Looks like everyone's got it all pretty much down. There was a little bit with the arms in the beginning, but once we got that cleared up, it was pretty much smooth from that point on. All right, we're going to do just a quick workout today because it's the last day, so workout's not really so much a focus, so I want to have more time to go through blade work and everything. So we're just going to do 1 upper body, 1 core, 1 lower body, nice and quick. So I'm going to go ahead and give you all 3, and then at your own pace, you can kind of go through them. All right, but since we're only doing 3, I am making them a little bit harder. So starting with our lower body, you're going to be doing jumping switch lunges. So not a fencing style lunge, this style lunge, jump, switch. So there and back is going to be 1. So switch, switch, 1, switch, switch, 2. All right, so you're going to do 10 of those. Then we'll be on the ground. We'll do our upper body next. We're going to do plyometric push-ups, which I don't think we've done this semester, unless I'm forgetting. Let me lower this a little bit. So plyometric push-up is a push-up, but the goal is that you have enough force when you're coming back up to try to pop your hands off the ground.
Hello.
So when you do your push-up, you're going to come up, and you want to just pop your hands off the ground a little bit. It doesn't have to be a ton. It can literally just be that much, so long as they're coming off. All right, so you got to have some power with it. So go down and pop it up. Make sense? So 10 of those. And our last one is going to be sandwiches. So you're going to tuck your legs up, and at the same time, you're going to do a crunch with your upper body, and you combine it. Next up. Make sense? And you do 20 of those. So 10 switch lunges, 10 plyometric push-ups, and 20 sandwiches. Anyone need a review on it or anything? Everybody cool.
I'm good.
Yeah.
Go ahead and go. I'll do them with you, but if you need help or anything, feel free to let me know.
One, two, three, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8.
And once you're done, feel free to take a break. Grab some water if you need it. So intense, a little harder, but short and sweet. Okay, so pretty much what we'll spend on blade work in a variety of different things. Since Minette was requesting the reverse lunges, which I think Minette, it was just you and me, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So, well, I know we'll request you sometimes, so. But they're a little bit challenging. They definitely work your legs, but they're fun. They look super cool if you pull them off. So we'll do some stuff with that. I'm gonna do a couple of compound attacks, and then we'll roll into some like Ian specials or something. So we're gonna do because I love infighting. I'm gonna put a couple of variations on parries that I tend to use more frequently than kind of our standard parries. Normally I would put fletches on this, but I just think with the space constraints and everything, fletches aren't like the best thing to work, especially with a blade, because you can't really put full power into them. So we're gonna do those, see where we're at. I've got a couple more things. I just don't know time-wise if we'll have enough to get to them. Sound good? All right, go ahead and grab your blade. If you have it available. So we're going to be starting off using our reverse lunge as a counter attack. So every day, right, we do our next reverse lunge stretch out that lead hamstring. But it is also an alternative counterattack duck. So we have our duck 1, right, which is in place downwards motion. We have our duck 2, which is a forwards moving downwards motion. The reverse lunge is essentially the backwards moving downwards motion. All right? So, reasons to use a reverse lunge as opposed to a duck. Remember what I would use to get the very end of the strip, right? So let me use this. We'll say this is the back of a strip. All right. So in case for Minette and Rowan, since the rules are probably we haven't had like a true rules class on the back of the strip, 1 foot will go off. That's okay. Both feet go off. It's an instant point for my opponent. If it's on the side of the strip, both feet must be on. Even 1 foot off the side is off strip. So if you go off the side of the strip, you lose 1 meter. So let's say fencing up here, step off the side, I lose 1 meter, reset, and then begin again. So for the back of the strip, right, I can have, let me do this a little bit. I can have 1 foot on. So even this is technically still on. Like my toes are still where the line is, I'm still technically on. So if someone's attacking at me, right, I'm at the very end of the strip, I don't have a lot of space to go. You can use a reverse lunge to still travel backwards, but still technically be on the strip. So that's the #1 way I see it used. Lee Kiefer, she's a foilist, American foilist, probably my favorite American fencer, I'd say. She is absolutely fantastic. She is super, super good at these. Normally being at the back of the strip is a bad position, right? Because you don't really have anywhere to go. Your options are pretty limited. For her, totally not the case. She dominates having like no space left. So if you can use it, it's a great way to kind of bait people out. Like, oh no, look, I've got nowhere to go. If you flesh me, what am I going to do? And then you reverse lunge them, and you're like, well, I guess that's what I'm going to do. Another option for this is basically just a little bit more athletic counterattack, right? Where you feel confident in your abilities to pull off what is admittedly a pretty difficult move that requires a decent amount of athleticism, and to be able to still hit them, right? So you're fencing, you're moving around, I'll move this, then I'll trip. So you're moving around, right? They come in at you. Maybe they expect you to go straight down, but instead you pop back, get the reverse lunge, score the point, and finish it. All right? But again, this is a counterattack. So the important part of this is your opponent comes out with an attack. All right. So as such, what we're going to do for our drill is we're going to feint, because we're going to look, we're coming in. This is a good time. You can make a big attack, stop us before we can set up our attack, and then we're going to come into our counterattack. So for this, you're just going to make a half step and an attack to the hand, right? Because it's pretty safe. If they do come out with something big and advance on the flesh, you should still have enough time to get away. So we're going to half step, come to the hand. Then we're going to assume for the purposes right now they come with a flesh. So they come out with a big flesh. You'll step back, extend your arm fully, and kind of dip into this reverse lunge position. If you need for balance, you can put a hand on the ground. Still a somewhat new rule change, so a lot of fencers aren't used to it. If you go to a tournament, some directors still aren't used to it. At this point, it's been around for like 4 years now, so people should be getting used to it. But used to be that you couldn't have a third point of contact. You couldn't put a hand down. You couldn't put a knee down like what I'm doing now. With that rule, you now are allowed to have 3 points. So if you're going to fall, pop your hand off the ground and give yourself some balance. Okay? So the way this will look, half step to attack your hand, rock back, reverse one if you need, put hand on the ground for balance. All right, so let's go 1 and 2. Make sense? All right, let me see some.
Oh, was that it?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Lead up, it's just a 1-step lead in, so that way there's not too much you have to think about, and it can be more focusing on your balance and the technique itself. And that you probably don't have to attack quite that low because you're coming for the hand, so you only need a little bit of a downwards motion.
Okay.
Most of your fencing stone.
So, kind of like there. Is that still low?
Even a little higher.
Okay, like here.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think if you're in your normal on guard, think kind of where your hand is, and then think you just need to get a little below that level so you can angle back up.
Okay. Nope.
Nice, Ron. Sorry, Wilbur, your screen is super laggy, so I'm just gonna assume that you're doing a great job.
It's okay. My internet's just not stable.
Yeah, I'm getting a solid
fine.
2 frames a second, so
Can you hear me okay though?
I can hear you
Yeah.
fine. Yeah, just picture
Okay,
like,
okay.
like stop motion.
So if I do like this.
Oh, it's actually cleared up a little bit now.
Ah, it cleared up.
Okay, cool.
Yeah. If I recall, Wilbur, you're actually pretty good at this. I seem to recall you've actually landed this a few times in tournaments and stuff. Like back in high school
I
league.
don't reverse lunge that much.
Maybe it's more just dunks that I'm thinking of.
Yeah, maybe. I don't usually do reverse lunge because I feel like it's a little slow for me.
It's a little slow for most people. Most people don't practice enough. The only person I know that does it a lot and effectively is Kevin's son. That's the only person I know.
Yeah, that sounds
really
right.
does a lot.
Yeah, because it's so much less work to drop. than
Yeah,
to
I think that's
the
much
rock
easier.
back.
Oh.
Ah,
Yeah.
God damn it.
Uh-oh.
Uh,
All right, go ahead, rest there.
hold on.
'Cause that's
I
not a
need
technique.
more tape.
That's not a technique that's like super hard in terms of technique. Really, using the reverse lunge is a physical thing, right? It tends to be
Mhm.
about your balance and coordination, that you can go back quickly and not lose your balance, and then mostly just the muscular strength to get down there and to be able to get back up rapidly. So if it is something you like, and Minette, I know you like it,
Yes.
it would just be something that practice it a lot, because it is mostly just a strength thing as opposed to like, fine-tuning technique thing. All right, so we're gonna do a couple of compound attacks. This will be the one thing today that I'll say is like highly practical. Most of the other stuff, again, is I think practical, but stuff that I really like as opposed to something that you can use all the time. The next 2 compound attacks are something that I would recommend using a lot. They're very similar to some other ones we've done, because I'm trying to get you used to this style of attack. All right, so they're both going to be 3-step attacks. All right, and as with most compound attacks, you want to start with a shallow action, so either the hand or the foot. All right, so we're going to do beat and attacks on top of hand. Now, I don't think we've formally talked about beats. The main reason is they are super, super technically simple. You smack their blade with your blade. There's really not that much technique to it. A beat is simply, we're going to do a downwards beat. Sometimes you'll hear this called beat 8. I don't really like that term because it's not a true parry 8. It's just smacking their blade downwards. And a beat 8 makes it sound a lot more like finesse filled than it really is. It is simply a smack of their blade, and then we're going to attack to the top of their hand. An important thing with a beat, though, it is not a big motion. You do not want the beat to be like this, right? Because the moment you start getting your elbow, your shoulder involved, it's too slow. Fencing, as I'm sure, especially you saw from that video, is very, very quick, right? Like, honestly, even sometimes fencing videos aren't that good because the camera can't really keep up with it well. So if you start making a motion like this, their blade's gone long before you. So you really just want a nice quick and small from the fingers and the wrist into their blade. So it's going to go beat and half step to the hand. All right, attacking the top of the hand, because the idea is you're smacking the blade down, giving yourself this opening, and then you're attacking here. Okay? So step 1, beat, half step to the top of the hand. Now, from here, we're going to assume you miss. So you're going to take 8 and then lunge your foot. Okay? This is an unusual technique because you are at an extension. So pretty much from here, you're simply dropping and making the circle motion. This one's allowed to be a little big because you are taking it all the way down to the foot. Going from here all the way down to here. All right? So step 1, beat, half step the hand. Step 2, take 8, lunge to the foot. We're going to say your point control is just not having a good day. You miss again. Your final action is going to be a forward recover, moving your target up to the chest, and then flush.
Oh, let's start here.
So pretty much, you're making 2, I would say, lower risk but lower possibility chance of success moves. So hand and foot, right? They're small, they move a lot, and then you're like, God, I just can't hit these small targets. You know what? I'm just finishing. Now I'm going straight for the chest with a flush. All right. So again, step 1, beat, half step, and extend. Try to hit the hand. Take 8, lunge to the foot. Then forward recover, change your target to the chest, and flesh. Does that make sense, everyone?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
So as with any compound attack, start slow, just get the steps into your body, and eventually the goal will be making this smooth and making it quick so that it comes out kind of one fast flowing attack. Make sense?
Okay.
All right, let me see him.
Okay. So you're gonna go, bah, and then you're gonna take 8 and go, bah. You're gonna come up and you're gonna flesh.
Yes. Correct.
Hey.
Woo.
Okay.
Good, Rowan. I would say just move the hand up to the target just a little sooner.
Okay.
You're kind of starting the flesh and then bringing the hand up. You're definitely going to want to bring the hand up first and then flesh.
Yeah, I also started the flesh on the wrong foot.
Oh, okay. That's all right. No worries. I didn't actually catch that.
Then I'm gonna take 8, recover.
Good. Yeah, the steps are looking there for everyone. I do apologize, Wilbert. Your camera's kind of high, so I can only see like the attack of the hand, and then after that, everything's kind of like below. But
It's okay. I don't really have a good place to put it, so
that's all right. No worries. I just
might
don't
be
want
able
you
to
to
get
be
a
like,
little lower.
wow, Ian's not even helping me out at all here or anything.
No, it's okay. Oh, okay. Well, maybe I can. Just got a chair over here. Might be a little better.
Yeah, it's a little better. So both Rowan and Minette now start to work to connect it a little more, get it to flow a little bit more. Start taking pauses out. Yeah, it's a lot better, Wilbert. I can see most of the action now.
Cool.
It's plus 8.
Hmm.
Good. Rowan, sorry, your screen's frozen. Oh,
Oh no.
please come
Hello.
back. Welcome back.
Okay. Welcome
I
back,
see.
Ryan.
Everyone froze, so
Yeah, you were frozen
we're
for
good
us.
now.
Good, Minette. Try to just connect that flesh just a little bit more. There's still kind of a hesitation, a pause in there, and I know it's difficult, especially because you're coming from that full lunge position. A little trick
Yeah.
I use to help me is if I'm forward recovering into a flesh from a lunge, when I recover this, I almost stomp this foot to give me some power. So I go like that, where I'm
Oh.
pushing it into the ground to help propel me forwards, right? Because the initial part of flesh can get a little push off from the back leg, and then the front leg takes over. So if you're in your lunge, when you recover this and stomp it, that gives you that little bit of oomph to flow right into
Okay.
it.
Okay, I'll try that.
Whoa! A little too effective. I almost splashed myself into the wall.
Yeah, flesh is unfortunately with space constraints not ideal move.
It works though. It works.
It does work, yeah.
Yeah, it did work. Alright.
Yeah, it gives you just that little extra pop when you need the speed.
I almost flashed into an 8.
It's not what we're doing here, but I mean, it's not a bad option.
No. I flashed into the ground. No.
Someone make sure you cover the leg before the flesh. You're almost starting the flesh from the lunge, which is an option. Like, you can do that, but it tends to make your flesh kind of flat. So make sure we cover that leg first.
Oh. Let me slow down again.
Yeah, more like that. We'll do just a couple more reps with this.
Okay. Let me go slow again. And then we go. and then we go, then we come up, and then we flush. Okay.
I get like one more time in.
Ba, ba,
Then we'll
ba.
take it. Yeah, nice, Manette. That was connected well too.
Yay!
Good, it's looking good. All right, go ahead and take a little rest. Get some water if you need. I will do one more compound attack before rolling into the Ian's choice stuff. All right, so for the next compound action, it's not technically a compound attack. It is really compound defense because the first two actions are going to be against an opponent attacking, and then you're kind of reversing it into your attack, but it's still ways that you can hit, and it's going through multiple actions. So I just want to put the disclaimer in. It's not technically a compound attack, but it is a compound motion that has 3 opportunities to hit. Okay? So what we're going to start with is a failed duck. A failed duck is a real crap position. It's not something you want. When you duck, you want to hit. Because as I'm sure you can figure out, right? This is not the ideal hunting position. There's not a ton you can do from here. And even the options you can do tend to be slow, right? I can actually do anything I want in terms of normal fencing. So I can lunge from here, I can fly from here. On a day, I don't generally do this at GSU because it's a little too mean, but on a day at OFC when I'm feeling a little brutal, I'll make all the footwork come from here. So, I'll make lunges come from the duck position. I'll make advances and retreats come from the duck position. I'll even make flushes come from that position. So you can do anything you want from there. It's hard and it's slower. So you don't want to stay in the duck. All right. So our first step, duck. It fails. We miss. Which is real bad for us. So we're gonna do almost like the from the duck 2, where you recover and step back. That's gonna be our recovery because we want to give ourselves a little space. So we're gonna recover and back. From here, back to our on guard. We're gonna take 6, lunge, right? Because our first goal is protecting ourselves. We're trying to score here. But from this point, for the next few steps, it's just don't get hit. So it's recover back, give ourselves some space so we don't get hit, parry so we don't get hit. Now we can focus on trying to score again. So we're going to lunge. Unfortunately, we fail again. So now we're simply going to do a forward recover, lunge in the same line. So the arm actually doesn't have to move. We're just going to forward recover and lunge. All right. So the first 2, it goes counterattack and defensive because it's a parry, right? So normally counterattacking or compound attacking, you have the initiative, right? It's you pushing. You're like, yes, I made this attack. Now I've got another attack, and there's even a third one coming, right? So you're putting someone on the defensive. This one's a little different where we're in a bad position most of the time. All right. So again, starting a duck 1, then you're going to recover back on guard, take 6. Then we can lunge probably to the arm or the shoulder we can target here. Then we can forward recover, lunge again, just continuing that target. So either we came to the arm and came up short, so we're now continuing to the chest, or we're coming to the shoulder and they step back. And so now we're continuing against the shoulder or chest.
Okay.
Let me show that one time kind of more fluid and connected and with less explanation. That makes sense? So kind of with that flow.
Okay.
Let me
Makes
see.
sense.
And again, take this one slow at first. Just get the steps down. Yeah, good, bro.
Alright. So
Here.
that one, back facing back.
Yeah, good.
That one, back facing back. Okay.
Nice, Robert. Then make sure you're doing parry 6. I think that was a parry 8. So parry 6 is going to come underneath their blade and around.
Under.
Clockwise on this one.
Okay, I was doing 8 the whole time. Okay. All right, makes sense. Back, going under.
Yeah, there you go. Good.
Right.
Yeah, you're definitely getting a leg workout today between the ducks, the lunge forward cover lunge forward cover flex, or reverses.
Yeah. Under. Right.
Pause for just one moment. I want to make one quick adjustment. So, from your duck, the next 3 steps, so the recover back, the parry, and the lunge, really quick. Because again, this is a bad position, so you're trying to recover from this and get out of this as quickly as possible. So if you're coming back, it's too late. You've already been hit. So this really needs to look like that, where it's immediately back and immediately forward. Because you're trying to first get out of there, and second, spring on the opportunity because they've assumed that they're going to hit you because you're in a bad position. So if that lunge takes long to come out, you kind of missed your chance. So the forward cover lunge can have actually a little bit of a pause because it could be you think you hit and you're like, oh crap, I didn't. All right, now I can finish it. But the duck part, you want it to come out real quick.
Okay.
Continue. Just want to throw that little note in there.
Okay.
I know it's difficult. It takes some leg strength, some coordination. Good, Rowan. Make that first lunge a little bit bigger. It was almost an advanced lunge, but the actions look good.
Try that again.
Yeah, like that. Good. Manette, you went back to parry 8.
God damn it! Under.
There you go.
Okay.
Yeah.
There we go. I put my arm back.
2 more reps on this. Good, Rowan.
No.
Under.
Yes. There you go. Nice.
Yes.
All right, and go ahead and halt and rest. Okay, so I'm going to explain the next block of what we're doing. So the next block is my favorite thing in all fencing, which is infighting. So infighting is the point at which you've gotten really close to an opponent. Basically, you are so close that at an on guard, they're already past your tip. So I'm actually going to use my kitty condo here for this because it's going to be my pretend person. Okay. If I'm fencing, normally I want to be here, right, where I can lunge and be able to score a point, and it's like at somewhat of a normal distance. Infighting, however, is where my tip has already come. Let me see if you can see. Yeah, you can. Has already come past my opponent. So any pretty much any action we learn will not work because an extension will take me past them. A lunge will probably headbutt into them. A flesh is just a tackle at this point. So no action we've done is viable anymore here. So infighting is this really like awkward, especially for beginners, but I like to consider it's a very art place because it's not like technical. There's not a lot of like really clean defined techniques here. It's a lot of whatever the heck works for you. So I realize obviously you're not going to have a kitty condo to use, but I'm just using this for demonstration so you can see kind of the distance of how close I am to my opponent. So here, they're about halfway up my blade. I don't know if you can tell that perfectly, but if this is right about at my tip, they're about halfway in. Easiest thing to do here is simply pull my arm back and hit. So we're going to start with easy infighting. So 2 main ways to do this. Simply pull the arm back, and then you can hit, or you're actually going to do a stance reversal. So my right foot's currently in front as already. I'm going to switch to my left foot's in front, and this kind of automatically just pistons this arm back in a position to be able to score my point. All right. So these are the two probably simplest ways to infight.
Okay.
They don't work if they're really close. So if they're at my bell guard, it's not really going to work well. But for right now, where they're about halfway up my blade, I can either just pull back and hit or switch stances and hit. All right, so we don't need super long on this, but take like 30, 45 seconds to just practice both the arm pull and a hit and a stance switch and hit.
Okay.
So yeah, and you'll really want to pull your arm back on this, right? Because they're
As far as you can go.
So you'll need to pull it. Pretty much the bell guard should come back to like your chest.
Okay.
Or even a little bit back past it. So this one's kind of a comfort thing, whether it feels. Some people hate switching stances. So some people will, like, the feet are set in the on guard and they don't move from there. Some people don't mind, and so they can get a little bit more fluid with it. So it's kind of your call. Both work.
Okay.
My control is impossible like that.
Yeah, this is. I will be honest, and well, Wilbur will know this because he's seen me infight plenty. I don't like either of these techniques that much, because I think the point control is hard, and I think they're not. They're not precise enough. So if you'll watch me for a moment, and I know Wilbur has seen this, you get, especially with beginners, you get where they go. They're like frantically like jabbing at someone. And while incredibly amusing to watch, it is a stressful situation to be in if you were the person who, you pull it back and you didn't pull back far enough, so you miss them. Now you pull it back too far and you're coming in front of them. And especially because, right, like we always practice our control here. So it's like, yes, I have great control here. But all of a sudden when my arm's back here, I'm like, where the heck am I going? So it leads to some amusing, but not really productive situations. So if you're in this situation, take a little bit of time. It's better to go a little slower, pull it back, aim, and hit your opponent than it is to try to go as fast as humanly possible and then totally whiff them. And high school league, which is where both Wilbur and I got our fencing start, you will see literally it will be like 9 attempts before someone scores. Because it is such a weird and kind of awkward distance. So seriously, like, it doesn't have to go maximum speed, precision over speed in this. So what we're going to work now is they're closer. This isn't that bad infighting, right? They're not that close. Where it gets really bad is when you're almost on top of each other when you're here, right? Your bell guard is maybe 6 inches from their chest or something, which if you're wondering when infighting happen, the number one way infighting happens is failed flesh. So I'm fencing, I flesh, and I don't run past. And now we stop here. And both of our blades are totally past each other, and now we're kind of looking at each other like, what do we do here? So we're going to work 2 different options. For the purposes of this, we're going to assume our opponent is right-handed. When our opponent is left-handed, all this shit gets thrown out the window, an entirely new set gets thrown in because the blades are on opposite sides. So we're going to assume, since we are all right-handed, most people are right-handed, our opponent is going to be right-handed for this, okay? So first, we're going to have our blade be on the inside of our opponent. So if I'm facing you, our blades are this way, not this way. They're on the outside, it gets a little bit harder, but we're going to assume we're on the inside, which is normally where you're going to end up. So you're coming past their shoulder here. All right? So we've got a million options here because infighting is really whatever works for you. So I'm going to show you 3. These are by no means the only 3 options, but these are the 3 that I would say I see the most and I think are the best. So Wilbert's going to know and love this first one. This is by far my favorite move in fencing. It is coming around your head. So I'm going to duck down a little bit because my camera can't catch it. So I'm going to come around this way, around, angle it in here, and I can now score my point. All right. So let me angle my camera up a little bit so I can do it normally. So it comes around here and angles in. You're generally aiming the top of their thigh to their stomach, kind of depending on their height. If they're a lot taller than you, it's going to be thigh. If they're really short, maybe you're coming chest. But pretty much because you're here, you need to get your tip in. And my arm isn't really long enough to pull back. Maybe a really far pull with a stance switch, I can get it in. But it tends to be a lot faster to just come around this way. All right?
And a lot flashier.
Disclaimer, yeah, it is also much faster. Disclaimer, don't smack your walls, don't smack your ceilings, because normally a fencing club has a lot more space than this. You probably don't right now. So 2 main ways you can do it. One, I can move over here, I'm gonna throw my line. You come truly out and around to get it, or 2, you come more over and down into it. Either way, your arm ends up kind of behind your head with your bell right here next to your ear and your tip pointed in. All right, so this is an exceedingly fancy move. I will give that first. It is very hard to get. It is also going to feel a little weird when you don't have an opponent to actually try hitting. But if you're good at this, I will attest to the fact it is super good. I have had a number of tournaments. I've scored more points on this than I have a lunge. So like, especially if you flesh a lot, you'll want to get good at infighting. Because again, failed fleshes are the #1 way you end up in infighting. So I come out, I flesh, I miss, I'm here, I can still come around from my behind the back and score this point. All right, so that's our option #1, coming around the head to hit. Option #2 is coming around the body to hit. All right, so this especially useful if they're much shorter, right?
Yeah.
Because if they're shorter, coming around the head might be awkward because they're below you. All right, so instead you can kind of drop the tip down, bring it around the lower back and hit. So down, around. Some of this is also chosen by where their blade is. So if I took 6 first, my blade's kind of high, so it's easier to go this way. If I took 8 first, my blade's already low, so it's easier to come this way. All right. I don't like this one as much personally because I think it's harder to aim with, but I know a number of people like this one more and they say it's easier to aim with. So this is kind of your preference. You can come around this way. Option #3, we've learned Preem, right, as a parry. And it is primarily a parry. However, Preem can also be used as I would say, like basically an infighting offensive technique. So if I am here and I come to Preem, you'll notice my tip is now close to my body and near my opponent. So I can Preem, especially if I lean back a little bit with it and hit. Sometimes you can even just Preem and come straight to their foot. You can just drop it down onto the top of their foot. All right, so those are the 3 options that I'm giving you. Around the head, around the body, and Preem, preferably with a lean, and just hit straight on. Again, these are going to feel weird without an opponent, which is why I haven't done that much with a lot of this until now. But I figure it's the last day of practice and we can do some fun stuff. Fun, fancy stuff. All right, so give them all a try. See which one feels the most natural for you. And again, please keep in mind walls and ceilings.
I have to be off camera because I hit my wall many times.
That's totally okay. Rowan, I think you're in good shape here. You've got a lot of space. You kind of got some room to whip it around.
Lucky. Okay.
Also,
Just like gonna
don't
abuse my
feel
porch
like
chair.
you have to stay in a perfect on guard. You can scoot around. You can pivot. You can, pull your feet together. Again, infighting is really an art more than it is like math.
Yeah, technique more or less goes out the window at this point.
Yeah.
Or at least conventional technique.
Conventional technique, yeah.
Oh,
Infighting is usually people's favorite or least favorite thing, kind of depending on their style.
Yeah, there's really no in between, I think.
Is this also based on speed?
Honestly, this one's based on like physical and mental flexibility. Physical flexibility in the sense to be able to get your arm and your blade around. Mental flexibility in the sense of like knowing when to use it and being able to use it effectively.
Okay.
So like with most things, this is a lot of practice because it feels weird So yeah, speed is, speed's obviously always good, but I wouldn't say it's the main thing here.
And are we aiming? You said we're aiming for their chest, right?
Yeah. So if you're coming over the head, you're gonna aim chest and stomach. If you're coming around the back, you're probably gonna aim stomach and thigh. And if you're doing cream, it's anything you can hit on your way down. So if they're a little overweight, this works to your advantage because you can kind of plop down on their stomach. If they're skinny, though, you're gonna have less of a target there, so you're gonna probably need to drop to the leg or even down to the foot.
Okay, that's so sad. The first one.
I'm just calling it like it is. If they're they're overweight,
it is what it is. It is what it is.
I mean, I'll also say if they're shorter than you and if they're female and have a large chest, same idea applies.
That's just dirty.
Again, I'm just saying if there are things that they can make a point easier to get.
True. A point's a point. Like just
they might not be super fond of you afterwards.
Like they'll figure it out after you get like 4 points, 5 points on them in the same area. Oh gosh.
Take like 30 more seconds with this, because again, this is more just an experimentation thing than it is going to be like fine technique honing.
I really wish there was like a good target to practice with.
Yeah, I know. Having a target's nice. In the fall, something I do all the time is I always have an infighting day where we all get really close and just practice infighting techniques. Usually my favorite day. We've done this before at GSU too, so it's a lot easier when you have a person to hit. All right, so our last infighting one. Sorry, I'm moving kind of quick, but we've only got like 9 minutes left, so I want to get through this and one more thing. So our last infighting one is we're close, but our blade's not on the inside, it's on the outside. So this one is if we're right-handed, our blades are across. So you can already feel that this one's more awkward. This is not the ideal position to hit someone. It's simply not. As much as possible, you want to avoid this position. The only saving grace is they're also in this crap position. So you've got a couple of options again. I'm going to give you 3 again. Try them all, pick and choose. So number 1, I'm going to start with the fanciest and probably the most difficult, is the Shamley Watson. So it is called that because a fencer, American fencer by the name of Miles Shamley Watson, basically invented the technique and really popularized it. So it is coming, first of all, you're holding your blade. To get this, you're going to need to flip it like this. So you won't be able to hold it conventionally unless if you have freakishly long arms like Shamley Watson does. So you're going to need to kind of shift it so that you can go like this. All right. So you're going to shift your grip. You're going to come around your neck this way and hit. All right. So it's coming around the front of your neck. Previously, we went around the back, which is an easier way to go. This one comes around the front and hits. All right. I will say this technique is a technique that if you as spectators, you land this, it's a mic drop. Like everyone's like, "Holy crap! Look at that super cool fencer over there." It's super hard to get though. So the other problem with it is it's very high and it angles up. If your opponent is shorter than you, you're going to have to crouch to make it work. So you're down and this way to make it work.
Oh no!
I'm a nice solid Kitty Kondo here to tell me if I'm actually scoring the point. You won't have the benefit of that. All right, second option. Similarly to coming this way, we're going to come this way. So again, it's coming around the body. I again find it easier, instead of holding it like this, shift it a little bit so that the blade's actually coming out like to the side of your hand. It makes it easier to twist it around. Again, if you have like disproportionately long arms, you don't need that, but so it's coming around this way to hit. All right.
Could you show me the grip without your glove on? Because
sure.
Yeah. I'm like manhandling it for no reason.
Gosh, I'm trying to figure out in the camera what's the best way to show this. All right, so if I normally hold it like this, I'm switching it around like this. So I'm actually holding it by this part with my fingers. I'm wrapping it. So if I extend like this, my blade normally comes out this way. With the way I'm holding it, if I extend, the blade comes out this way. I'm basically
So
just
like this.
looking from here,
Oh my
to
god.
here.
Okay.
So you're literally
Okay.
just like holding it sideways? Is that what
I'm
it
literally
is?
holding it sideways.
Just
Oh.
like,
Okay.
oh lord.
Now I only have to do a 270 with my blade, as opposed to a full
Only.
360 with it.
Only a 270.
God.
Okay.
Yeah, I have short arms. So when I was first trying to learn the Shanley Watson, I didn't do the hand switch because he doesn't actually do that. If you ever see him fence, American foilist, he was world champion. He's the first ever actually American foil world champion. So he's super freaking good. And he is lanky as hell. He's like, I swear to God, his arms are as long as I am tall. So like,
Oh my god.
it really helps. He's all arms and legs. So it really helps.
Oh.
But so he doesn't do the shift. So when I was first trying to do it, I was like, how are you supposed to get it around there? I couldn't get it. So switching it to that sideways makes it so much easier to come around.
It really does. And switching the grip, like you said, it has helped so much.
Yeah,
Golly.
it definitely helps. Let's stick to just those two. So let's just go around the body and around the neck.
Oh no, I'm not
Is
flexible
this a good
like
time
that.
to mention the turning rule? Because I feel like
Yes,
I'm
this is
constantly in
already
danger of that.
So when you are turning to face your opponent, you cannot show the back of your head to the opponent. You can show the side, but you can't show the back. So this is important because you can't go like this to score the point. You can go like this. This is okay because it's like my ear facing them. So I can hit from here, but I can't do a full 180 where they can see the back of my head. So everyone takes this rule.
Why.
So the initial assumption is that this rule is for safety, which isn't a part of it because Wilbur, if you're turning the mask around, there is no protection back there. It is.
Yeah, this is open.
This is open. So this is actually why the rule is normally enforced, is because of safety. It is actually not why the rule was invented. It's actually invented because the ref couldn't see what you're doing. And in the 70s, they had a dishonest fencer who fiddled with his thing, and he would like hit a little button that he could make points go off with. And that's actually why the rule came about. But it's now mostly enforced because of safety. You metal, absolutely nothing. And here is your spinal cord. Important stuff. You don't want getting stabbed with a sword. So as such, you don't want that facing your opponent's blade.
Okay.
All right. I want to real quick. We got 3 minutes left, so I just real quick want to touch on one more concept, because it is another like Ian's signature. So when you are fencing with someone, distance is probably the most important concept in fencing. Distance control, I literally cannot state enough how freaking huge it is. If you ever get the chance to fence with a really high level fencer, I'm talking like really high level, not just like me or Wilbert or Dan or something, like an Olympic tier, like you get like an Olympic medalist or something. Literally, you could say like you can't do anything except extend and they'll still kick your ass because their distance control is so good. They don't need parries, they don't need flakes, they don't need anything but the extension, and it's because of distance. All right. So normally when you're moving and people are watching your distance, the easiest way to tell distance is the feet, right? I've closed distance, I've increased distance, and that's pretty self-explanatory. But people get very stuck on watching the feet. And so I have found, I'm going to face this way because it's easier to tell. If I step back, everyone's like, oh, distance changed. But if I go like this, no one realizes that distance has changed. Even though if you watch my chest, and you can use the background as reference, if I go like this versus this, my torso is moving almost the exact same amount. All right?
Mhm.
So this has led to my signature. I take a really big 6 and lean. So like this.
I've seen that a million times.
Yeah. Anyone who has seen me fence can attest. If you're like, yeah, the lean back parry 6, and they're like, you learned from Ian, didn't you? So I have found if I step back, people adjust. If I lean, they don't adjust. So now I can take a 6 and be right back kind of in their face, too close for their comfort, and I can score the point. So it's also faster than a retreat and then a subsequent advance to just get a little lean with a parry 6. No, this is not a nice, pretty parry 6 here, right? This is kind of a bigger, close into my chest because this is close to my body. And I will say, actually, Wilbert has gotten quite good at this as well. And I of having to put up with me for like 6 years. But
maybe.
so you're basically leaning back, taking a nice big 6, and coming right back forwards so you can make this riposte. Just a nice little, like that.
Okay.
We'll just take 30 seconds because we're just about out of time. We'll take 30 just to give that one a couple reps. If you use this at a tournament, I've been around the fencing scene in Georgia long enough. Almost everyone will recognize it and they'll be like, "Ugh, Ian."
We're gonna create a bunch of mini Ians just running around doing 6s and like infighting.
It's really amusing sometimes, like to see like fencers and like see other coaches react. Like, I'll be like, Brandon Show would be a good example. Like Brandon Show, I remember had a tournament and he was fencing against a Pope fencer. Sorry, Minette and Rowan, I know this means nothing to you, but for Wilbur, he was fencing against one of Pope's fencers. So Coach Eichler, my old coach, right? And so Brandon comes out with this like half step. He comes with this big 6, flushes, misses as he goes past behind the backs, the guy, and Eichler's like, I literally could run into you at any tournament in the world and know exactly who your freaking coach is. Because it's like, if that's not the most Ian sequence of events I've ever seen.
Oh, that's so true.
But yeah, it is funny watching like people do it. I'm like, yes. Like Alex Kim would be another great example of someone who does tons of behind the backs, tons of 6 flushes and stuff. So yeah, usually if you work with me long enough, you'll end up getting corrupted by some of my choices. All right, well that's all the time we have. But yeah, so I will say these are, like I would say, my stylistic preferences in fencing. They are quite good. So I will say I have had some spats with coaches in the past where they're like, those aren't good. And I'm like, they work pretty well. And having worked with a number of high-level fencers, they have said, if you can make it work, they're great. So by no means do you need to choose to lean instead of a step back, right? You don't need to like infighting. You don't have to like try to get in and whip it around your head or whatever. A lot of fencing is very personal. So it's like what you like, what you're good at, what works for you. And it is fun to watch like people kind of develop their own styles, right? Like, and Wilbur, you've seen this now between GSU, OFC, Lambert, right? Like everyone, they have the same coaches, they fence against the same people, and yet everyone fences completely differently. And it's something I really like about fencing because I think it's like a reflection of who you are. Because it's like, well, you learn from the same person. You fence the same, 20 people that everyone else fences. You went to the exact same tournaments. You fence in the exact same time, place, everything. Yet 2 or 3 people look polar opposites in how they fence. And it's just personal preference and stuff. And some of it is physical, right? Like if you're 6'3" and 5'1", don't fence the same way. Right, likewise, if you're 240 pounds or like 96 pounds, don't fence the same way. But, generally speaking, a lot of it's his personality that determines like what you like and stuff. All right, cool. Are there any final questions or anything?
I do have questions. So with the sidewards grip, could you do that for like the behind the head instead of like around?
You could do that pretty much for any situation where you need infighting, especially if you, and this isn't throwing shade, especially if you lack the flexibility. The one thing to note, if you're going around the head this way, if you flip it sideways, don't come in flat. Because if you're coming in this way, you're going to slap. You want to make sure you're still coming in with the tip and still thrust. That would be the one big thing I would say would be the danger of going sideways that way. I think it's more reliable this way because it kind of comes in straight. But if you, again, infighting is totally, if you can make it work, then it's the right choice. Like I've seen some people who do the weirdest stuff, Daniel Jung, like, hey, it works for him. One that I didn't get to because I don't think it's that practical, that's also a Miles Shanley Watson, is this way where he goes under his legs.
The under the leg.
Lubin, as a lefty, he likes to come between his legs this way. So rather than the inside to the outside, he comes from the outside to the inside. I've seen him do it jump and flick someone in the mask between his legs. So it really is whatever the frick works for you is the right option.
Okay, that makes sense. What the heck?
Jeez, I want to see a clip of that.
Same.
Actually, since we were just talking about Brandon's show, it was against Brandon's show at OFC. Lubin was like, "Hey, I've been working this new infighting technique," and Brandon was like, "Oh, okay, let's see." And Lubin was like, "No, I'll do it in match." And so like they were fencing at 15, and it like I don't know, got like 6 or 7 points in, so it wasn't like on Brandon's mind. Lubin just comes in, just jumps, and between his legs, just flicks him like dead center of the mass, and Brandon's like, "I cannot believe that just happened." Since you guys don't know Brandon, I'll say he's also like a really good fencer. He's the same rating as I am and stuff. So like he's a very strong fencer to get styled on like that is not really not something he experiences much.
Oh, that's amazing.
That is ridiculous.
Oh, well, that's all I had to ask. That's pretty interesting.
Cool. All right. Well, it is the last practice semester. Wilbert, have you thought at all about summer classes? Do you want to do them? Do you not want to do them?
Summer classes, I think I'm okay with doing them as long as we have people, because I'm taking either like 0 classes or 1 class, so I should have a decent amount of free time.
Okay. Yeah. So keep an eye on the fencing page. Then I don't know exactly. It's really going to be Wilbert's thing for the summer. So maybe I'd say maybe Wilbur put up like a poll or something to see who's going to come. Although to
Yeah,
be fair,
I think I'll just pull it.
we did have like 9 people who said they were going to come this semester, and then we ended up with like 5. So I don't know where the other 4 went. But you know, but yeah, something like that.
Happens.
So we might do, because normally we're not actually allowed to do summer classes or like summer fencing classes because we don't have access to the facility. But since we're doing it online, I figure I'm not available to do them, but we might as well if we can. So keep an eye out for that. Fall semester, it's not 100%, but it's pretty much been confirmed that clubs will be able to go back and practice unless if some really, one of the variants just explodes or something. In theory, we should be good to go so long as everyone's vaccinated and everything by that time to have in-person practices in the fall. So I think we can look forwards to that.
Okay.
If you want to continue fencing over the summer, in addition to our online classes, there are also private clubs all over Atlanta. So some people get involved a lot in politics. I've never been about that. So I say go wherever makes you happy. So there is a wide array of price ranges in terms, you can find cheaper clubs are like $80 a month. You can go to Nelia, which is like $250 a month. Don't go to Nelia just because they're a saber only club, so they will not fence the same weapon as we have. But I mean, if you want to go, but it won't help you for GSU fencing.
Not for this fencing club, no.
And they're all over Metro Atlanta. So depending on where you live, there's a club in Johns Creek, there's a club at East Point, there's a club Marietta, club in Kennesaw, wherever. So if you want any info on those, I'm happy to help you try to find one. Totally no pressure, though. It's not like a requirement to obviously defense for GSU or anything. But if it's something you want and you don't want to have the like 3 or 4 month downtime until we start practice again, it's certainly something you can do. If you care, I coach at OFC, which is up in Johns Creek, which may be far from you or close to you. I have no idea where you guys live. But if you want to keep getting coached by me, that is where I coach. So I'd be happy to see you there. But obviously no pressure on that, because I will say private clubs are a hell of a lot more expensive. Like we definitely at GSU, we try to keep the price pretty low. We understand, like, we are college kids too. We don't want to be shelling out a bunch of money for this. Private clubs, that is not the case. The average is probably around 150 a month. So
right. This is where, like, if you want to take it a lot more seriously than just coming to club once or twice a week.
That sort of stuff.
Okay.
Yeah, I just want to throw that out there just in case it is something that you're interested in. But please know there's totally no pressure to do it, and there's no need for GSU specifically. Like, we're happy to have you just doing our practices. You'll still be eligible to compete or anything. We don't discriminate whether or not you go to private clubs or anything. It's more just for your interest if you have the time and money and passion for it.
Yeah, just if it makes you happy, do it. If it doesn't, don't do it.
Yeah, exactly. I do know some of the other clubs, I'm not going to call out names, but some of the other colleges do quite aggressively push their fencers to go to clubs, and they're quite particular in which clubs you're supposed to go to. I really don't care. My thing is, like, if you enjoy it, go for it. If it's not practical or just not that big of a deal, then don't worry about it.
Yeah, like
GSU.
if you live far from OFC, don't like drive 2 hours to practice and 2 hours back. Like,
Yeah.
find somewhere closer.
I totally agree.
Okay.
Yeah, but
Just
if it is
for your
something
own
that interests
sake.
you, let me know because I pretty much know I have fenced at almost every club in Metro Atlanta at some point or another, whether it be as a member, a camp, tournaments, whatever. So I can let you know kind of the flow of their practice, price range. I can tell you about their coach, that sort of stuff. So if it is something that
Okay.
interests you, feel free to DM me. Cool. Any
Okay.
final questions or anything? I know we're running over, but hope that's okay.
So I'm trying to get my own sword. Where would be a good place to get one that you could use in
Online,
tournament?
pretty much, there are really no like in-person stores. So I recommend Absolute Fencing simply because I think
Yes.
they're the best combination of value and quality. I will say, if price is of no object, I highly recommend Leon Paul. I think for pure quality, they're the best in the world. But the price tag matches
They're
that.
expensive.
So, like Absolute, you can get a full sword for like $60. Leon Paul, a full one can run you 300. So I would say starting out, I recommend Absolute. But if you have if you have money to throw at it and you don't mind, you can go Leon Paul. But Absolute Fencing would be my kind of go-to. My only thing would be get an electric one, a wired one.
Mhm.
We will sell practice ones for like $5 less, but spend the extra money. Yeah, as Wilbert's showing, they've got this style tip and they've got a wire running down the center. Spend the
As
extra
well
few
as this
bucks
part.
because that way you can fence a tournament and everything. It's
Not really showing well.
It's all right. We can see
Oh,
it.
that I have. Yeah.
It's the wires.
Yeah. Yeah, and again, feel free if you need help, DM me on that too. I don't mind.
Okay, thanks.
Alrighty. Thank you guys very much. Good luck on the rest of your finals, and I will see you guys probably in the fall or maybe over the summer or something. All right.
Yeah.
Bye,
And
guys.
thanks for coming to practice this whole time, everyone.
Thank you.
Yeah.
We appreciate it, especially with the weird format, the pandemic.
Yeah, thanks for
and
doing
everything.
it.
We appreciate it. So, all right.
Thank
Bye.
you.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.